All plants need three things. They need water, sunlight, and nutrients. Here at Bonus Crop Fertilizer, we supply the nutrients, the nitrogen, the phosphate, the potassiums, the micronutrients, possibly slow-release nitrogens. As we add our nutrient values to the sunshine and the water, we get growth on all the plants and turf fields around your school. Most turf fields are different from, say, your backyard. The professionals come in and put in a sand base or sandy loam type soils that percolate very well. That means water goes through that soil extremely fast, and that deletes the nutrients. Also, the sandy soils like that might not have a lot of organic matter. The big sports fields need a lot of small applications to keep the nutrient level up for them to grow and look as good as, say, Kyle Field at Texas A&M. For us to know what product to produce for the customer, we either have a soil sample that has come back that shows us what is in the soil itself, and then how we can put together an analysis that will help cure any major issues and also promote nitrogen, phosphate, and potassium. Another major concern in turf management is particle size of your fertilizer. The smaller the particle size, the more particles you get per square foot. And that becomes important, especially in turf management, when you are putting a herbicide on your fertilizer. So you're getting better coverage on your herbicide to get better results. The fertilizer industry in years past and certainly now have worked diligently to produce environmentally friendly products. The major companies are coming out with some great slow release products where the nitrogen is fed to the plant more as the plant needs it instead of all at once, and is not getting into the groundwater runoff. Here at Bonus Crop Fertilizer, we bring our input items, so-called raw materials, in by either rail or by truck. We unload that, put it in different bin spaces in the plant to keep it separated. And then we have a front end loader that moves each product that we need and goes through an elevator system up to where we blend it. And our blender is the guy that looks at the formulation, and he puts in X number of pounds of nitrogen, X number of pounds of potassium, and X number of pounds of phosphate, micronutrients, slow-release nitrogens, whatever's in the actual analysis that has been sent to the plant. One aspect of the turf management business I've learned that is very, very important is quality. They are not looking so much at price as at quality. Sure, price matters, but the quality, the size of the product, the consistency of the product, the spreadability of the product means more to them than a few dollars. So we understand that we need to buy certain nutrients from certain people that stand up to this quality, so when we put them together, we have the product that the turf manager wants.
Welcome back. I just really want to make sure that I have all of my bases covered. So let me make sure I understand this process. You take a soil sample from your turf, you send it over to Tony in his lab, and from his report, you understand what nutrients and in what quantities you need to apply to the field. So then you're able to put in an order with somebody like Steve's company. He provides the right nutrients, the right quantities, you apply them to the field, and then you kind of just repeat the cycle over and over again, correct?
Exactly. It's just a constant cycle of we evaluate conditions of the field, the soil conditions, the nutrient levels, the weather, and then once again the condition of the field, and we just basically continue that cycle over and over and over and continue to maintain the surface.
Excellent. I do have a few more questions here. If I promise not to throw you any hard balls, do you think you can handle a couple more questions?
I'll do my best not to strike out on them. So.
Don't worry, guys, we're almost done. So Stacy Crouch from Dutch Fork Elementary School in South Carolina asks, are the fertilizers that you're using harming the environment around the stadium at all?
Okay, that's a really great question, Stacy. And the answer on it, no. The fertilizers we use, when used properly, are not harmful to the environment in any way, shape, or form. I would actually go to the contrary statement and tell you they're actually benefiting the environment by our use of them. because when we responsibly use fertilizers, the right fertilizer in the right quantity, at the right time, in the right place, when they're responsibly used, they actually create better soils, they create stronger plants, which then, as Kirsten showed us with her activities, help filter out things that harm our environment. So the use of the fertilizers actually, in the long run, benefits our environment.
All right, let's see, one more. Michael M. Shaw from Alvin ISD in Alvin, Texas wants to know, how does the pH affect the condition of the turf? And then how do you maintain the pH?
Okay, great question. Glad we got one in from Texas here.
Yeah.
So, you know, I touched briefly on when we talked about the soil test reports, pH being one of the important things that we really pay attention to. And that's because it can have such a drastic effect on the plant. So ideally, the ideal pH range for a turf grass is in the 6.5 to 7.5 range on the pH scale. So I talked about in our soil test, we were at an 8.3, which is a little high. So now the reason I worry about that and I want it in that right range is because the pH ultimately has an effect on the nutrient availability to the plant in the soil. So if I get a pH that's too far below that 6.5 range, there's certain elemental nutrients that are essential to the plant that become tied up in the soil and they're held more tightly, and so the plant can't access them as readily. And then the inverse is true as well. So if I get a pH that's too high, too far above that 7.5, we fight the exact same problem, only with different nutrients. There's other nutrients that when you get in that high scale, they become less plant available. And so we're always trying to balance that middle ground, that 6.5 to 7.5, to make sure the maximum nutrient quantity is available to the plant so that we can have a happy, healthy plant. Now, in the instance you said, how do we manage it if I get too high or too low? There's other nutrient products that we can apply to a field. So if my pH gets too low, too acidic, most soil labs are going to recommend that I apply a liming product. And over the course of time, that lime product is going to bring, it's a calcium-based product, is going to slowly bring the pH up and buffer that back up into that 6.5 to 7.5 range. The other side, if the pH is too high, like in our case, we have an 8.3, the common recommendation from the soil lab is to apply either a sulfur product or a gypsum type product. And same thing, that over the course of time, that's going to buffer that pH down and slowly bring that number down into the range where we want it.
Gotcha. Well, excellent. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. Nick has got a lot of fields that he needs to manage, so we're going to let you get back to that. Thank you so much for having us, for telling us all about your job. It's really been excellent.
Thank you for being here.
Well, and thank you to Texas A&M University for hosting us at beautiful Olson Field. Thank you to all of you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed it. And please make sure you check out thescienceofsoil.com because you can find a ton of free resources, including an archive of this virtual field trip, as well as others. So thank you all so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.